Trial marriage husband. Need to work hard. Chapter 23. Frozen for 3 years. The corners of Lin Wei's eyes were still teary. Wiping them away, she slowly stood up. She thought for a moment before responding to Tang Ning. 26th next Wednesday. Are you still being told by Mo Yuru to reject all my jobs? Tang Ning guessed. Yes. Note down every single one and keep every single email from every single client for evidence. Next Wednesday, I will use them, Tang Ning ordered calmly. If you still have a sense of judgment, you will know. Following me is more promising than following Mo Yuru. Just on the fact that she is a mistress alone, she will never get the chance to step onto the international stage. After hearing these words, Lin Wei thought about why Mo Yuru had been getting into trouble so often lately, while Tang Ning's popularity was on the rise. She realized it was because all along, Mo Yuru had relied on acting weak and gaining sympathy. Meanwhile, Tang Ning was using Mo Yuru as a stepping stone to make a comeback. Lin Wei weighed the pros and cons and decided it would be best to follow Tang Ning. I will help you prepare everything. Tang Ning nodded as she started to leave. But just as she reached the doorway, she seemed to have remembered something as she turned to warn Lin Wei. If you don't have the ability to manage a PR crisis, then don't do anything scandalous for me to clean up after you. Put simply, if she couldn't avoid having photos taken of her, she shouldn't have gone around seducing someone she shouldn't have. Lin Wei's face turned pale. It was the first time she had come across an artist who had planned so far ahead without anyone knowing. From the looks of it, apart from seducing men, Mo Yuru really didn't have anything else going for her. In fact, she was unknowingly waiting for Tang Ning to send Tianyi Entertainment packing. Coming out of the building, the day was still young. Tang Ning returned to her car with a tired look on her face. Upon seeing her, Long Jie was extremely heartbroken. Did you have an argument with Han Yufan? Han Yufan asked to break up, Tang Ning replied calmly as she leaned her head back and slowly closed her eyes. She appeared to be trying to hide her emotions. Long Jie, did you know? When Han Yufan spoke those words, it sounded like he was reading from a textbook. He even wants to freeze my jobs for 3 years. That jerk, how can he be so disgraceful? Isn't he afraid of being struck by lightning? Long Jie protested as she turned sideways. Seeing Tang Ning suffering, she reached out her hand to comfort her, patting her gently on the arm. Do not allow a man like that to make you feel bad, especially since you are going to make that jerk pay everything back tenfold. I'm not capable of controlling my emotions completely yet. Take me home, Tang Ning requested in a gentle whisper. Okay. Have some rest. Tang Ning knew, judging by Han Yufan's cold and careless attitude, he wasn't going to stop at making her attend rubbish events like this. All it would take was one word from Mo Yuru, and he would be able to do something even worse. She had to find a way to destroy Mo Yuru's plans of standing in her way. By the time Mo Ting arrived home, it was already 8 p.m. at night. However, today, he didn't smell the aroma of dinner being served. All he felt was a cold chill. At first, he thought Tang Ning hadn't arrived home yet, but as he entered the bedroom, he saw her lying quietly in bed. No need to explain. She must have been treated unfairly today. Mo Ting walked over and sat on the edge of the bed. Upon sensing the familiar presence, Tang Ning immediately sat up and hugged him. If you want to cry, then cry. You will feel better. Mo Ting gently patted Tang Ning's shoulder. Tang Ning had been holding it in all day, but after being comforted by Mo Ting, she immediately let go and burst out crying. Sorry, I promised I wouldn't cry over unworthy things. It's okay, cry. Apart from me, who else would you be able to show your true self to? Mo Ting encouraged. Maybe because Mo Ting's hands were so gentle, or maybe because Mo Ting was older than Tang Ning by 7 years and exuded a sense of safety and maturity, Tang Ning cried in Mo Ting's embrace for a long time until no tears were left. Better? Mo Ting asked. Yep. Tang Ning freed herself from Mo Ting's embrace. You mustn't have eaten yet. I'll go cook. Without doing anything else, Mo Ting grabbed hold of Tang Ning's chin and used all his strength to press his lips firmly against hers. Not only did he want to kiss away her tears, but he also wanted to use this special moment to comfort the hurt woman in his arms. A kiss was the best medicine and best painkiller. The couple kissed so passionately, the world felt like it was spinning as they tried to catch their breaths. Tang Ning, I hope that no matter if you are happy or sad, I would be the first person you would turn to. I don't care how many masks you are wearing on the outside. Once you are home, we have to face each other truthfully. We should be like a normal married couple. We only need each other. Mo Ting wiped away the tears on Tang Ning's cheek as he stood up. I've said before, you aren't allowed in the kitchen anymore. Tang Ning saw Mo Ting turning to leave, so she quickly grabbed onto him. I need you. I need you right now. I need you to stay with me. Hug me. Kiss me. I need energy to kiss you. Tangning stopped crying, removed her blankets to get out of bed, and held onto Mo Ting's hand. Then I'll keep you company. The couple had an enjoyable dinner and showered. After returning to bed, Mo Ting leaned against the headboard and read some documents, while Tangning tried to sleep. But no matter what she did, she couldn't fall asleep. What's wrong? I can't sleep, can you read me a book? Tangning peeped out from under the blanket and pleaded Mo Ting. Only in front of Mo Ting did she not remain emotionless. She also didn't have to be calm and capable like she was in front of Long Jie. In front of Mo Ting, she was completely a little wife, a wife that needed to be spoiled. Of course, in front of Tangning, Mo Ting also didn't have to be the Mo Ting everyone knew. If she was his subordinate, he would have thrown his documents in her face. But the person before him was Tangning, so he picked a book from the bookshelf and returned to the bed. He wrapped Tangning in his arms as the two of them opened the book together and started reading. This was such a simple gesture, but it turned out Han Yufan the jerk would have never done something like this for Tangning. Who would have thought it would turn out to be the king of the entertainment industry that would be willing to experience such a silly thing with her? The scars in her heart felt like they were slowly being healed. It was not long before Tangning fell asleep in Mo Ting's arms, and as usual, she slept sweetly. The next morning, the air was slightly humid. Tangning was awoken by the sound of her phone ringing. It was Lin Wei. Her voice was a lot gentler than the previous day. Tangning, I just arrived at your house, but only your assistant is home. I've moved. I came to tell you, after President Han announced you would be appearing at the corporate event, the fans you gained are now in an uproar. They are arguing intensely amongst themselves. They said if you were to appear at this event, it means you are supporting unreliable goods. There is no way they can accept it and are ready to abandon you. What's Mo Yuru's reaction? Tangning asked Lin Wei straightforwardly. She can't wait to see you suffer. Going to this event was her idea from the start. Not only does she want to step all over you, she wants your life to be a living hell. Then let's see next Wednesday, whose life will be a living hell. Tangning responded with a deeper meaning. In the meantime, don't worry about the fans. Let them yell at me as much as they want. Chapter 24. The two get scolded, Tangning benefits. Mo Yuru had just stepped up a level from being a mistress and was still basking in the glory of things going her way, so Tangning thought she'd let her be happy for a few more days. After all, Tangning had yet to play the best card in her hand. However, Tangning didn't only want to make it impossible for Mo Yuru to be a model anymore, she also wanted Mo Yuru to be too embarrassed to be alive. Because her jobs were being frozen, after filming the commercial for HF, she once again had nothing to do. But she wasn't impatient or angry. Even though fans were scolding her for endorsing an unreliable product, she didn't respond with a single word, sucking up the insults. Lin Wei had studied Tangning and studied the way she handled things previously. She realized she was a lot more tolerant than most people and could endure loneliness well. The entertainment headlines were still focused on Han Yufan and Mo Yuru's video. The public put Mo Yuru through all kinds of pain and abuse. Whereas Tangning's reactions from the public consisted of two extremes. Some were extremely sympathetic as they assumed Tangning was being forced, leading to her having no choice in which company she was to endorse. Whereas younger fans questioned why, under these circumstances, she hadn't left Tianyi. It was amongst this complex debate that an album of photos from Tangning's recent shoot was leaked by a passerby. In an instant, the hottest person online had changed as everyone praised how stunning Tangning's beauty and long legs were. On top of everything, there were multiple magazines that pointed out how even when posing randomly, every move that she made was more natural than any pose pulled by a professional model. So, while the three were enveloped in scandals, Mo Yuru and Han Yufan's responses were all negative, whereas Tangning, on the basis of one album of photos, made everyone forget she had been a substitute for Mo Yuru and that she had apologized after admitting to creating hype. The only image in their minds of Tangning were her gracefulness as she looked back at the camera with tears in her eyes. While all this was going on, within the same day, Lin Wei received invites from no less than 5 magazines requesting Tangning to appear on the front cover of their next season's issue. Compared to pitiful Mo Yuru, who was getting one contract cancelled after another, Lin Wei was suddenly impressed by Tangning. It was like she had some kind of magical ability that would always turn things around. Because Tangning's path to a comeback could no longer be blocked by Han Yufan, when faced with all the invites from the magazines, he started to question himself. Should he really be freezing Tangning? Lin Wei reported to Han Yufan with the invites from the magazines and analyzed which path Tangning should take. But she was stopped by Mo Yuru, who was sitting in Han Yufan's office chair. Didn't we already agree that we would not be accepting any jobs for her? Are you ignoring my words? Her relationship with Han Yufan is still young, yet here she is, already acting like she is the president's wife. Lin Wei sneered on the inside. Let's choose E-Style. Han Yufan selected one of the most influential magazines as he spoke directly to Lin Wei. Yufan, what did you promise me? Babe, everything I do is for you. Think about it. The incident with the video has received enough criticism. All we need is for Tangning to make an appearance and clarify that we broke up a long time ago. Then the relationship between you and I would not be adulterous at all, just a normal couple. The netizens will realize they've been wrong and will feel guilty towards you. Everything you do from then on would be more acceptable. I am laying a path for you, Han Yufan explained to Mo Yuru in a serious tone. There's not much time left until the top 10 model awards. This is the fastest way to wipe your slate clean. By the time you make a comeback, do you think Tangning would still have a place to stand? After hearing this, Mo Yuru's anger immediately dissipated. Only you could think of something that covers all bases like this. Han Yufan had no idea Lin Wei was already on Tangning's side. The scheming between the two quickly reached Tangning's ears. Those two want to use you to wipe their slates clean? What are you planning to do? Lin Wei was curious how Tangning was going to stop herself from being used by Han Yufan. Help me reject the job. If Han Yufan asks, just say I'm not feeling well, Tangning replied. Picking one out of 5 magazines and then having to immediately reject 4 was already not quite right. But Lin Wei understood what had to be done. So far she had been impressed by Tangning's ability to skillfully deflect whatever was thrown at her. Effortlessly, she had passed the hot potato back. When Mo Yuru heard of this, she nearly went crazy. She slammed her hands on the table as she spoke to Lin Wei. She obviously did it on purpose. Then, Miss Mo, how accommodating did you think a model that's had her fiancé stolen and is getting all her jobs frozen should be? After hearing everything, Han Yufan patted Mo Yuru on the back to comfort her. He turned to Lin Wei and ordered, "Tell Tangning to come see me." "I'm afraid she can't. She isn't feeling well," Lin Wei replied. "Then tell me where she is. I will go look for her." "Let me first ask Tangning for her opinion." After speaking, Lin Wei turned around and phoned Tangning. However, at this time, Mo Ting had just returned home and was hugging Tangning in the garden as they watered the plants. Lin Wei clearly expressed her thoughts, and because Mo Ting's ears were against Tangning's, he overheard their conversation. At that moment, his ink-like eyes suddenly twinkled under the sun as he gave an amused smile. Leaning in close to Tangning's left ear, he suggested, "Give our Hyatt Regency address to your manager." Tangning looked at him with uncertainty. "Firstly, tell him that you've moved houses, and because you are the daughter of the Tang family, living in Hyatt Regency is more suited to your status. You are no longer at a level where he can reach. Secondly, the security in Hyatt Regency is tight. Did you think anyone can come in, huh?" Tangning gently laughed as she realized Mo Ting's attitude towards outsiders was definitely different to the kindness he showed at home. But haha, she liked it. So she followed Mo Ting's suggestion and gave their address to Lin Wei. Upon hearing the address, Lin Wei was shocked for a moment before she passed it on to Han Yufan. Tangning said she already moved houses. If you want to see her, then you can go to Hyatt Regency. She's moved there. Hyatt Regency? But that is Beijing's most famous and well-known estate. That's not a place that a small celebrity could live in. Mo Yuru was envious. She moved to Hyatt Regency? How is that possible? Miss Mo, have you forgotten she is an heir to the Tang Empire? Her living in Hyatt Regency is merely a choice to live in an environment that is suited to her status. In other words, when Han Yufan and Tangning were still together, she had been forced to suffer by downgrading herself. Since Han Yufan didn't know how to cherish her, she, of course, returned to where she belonged without any cares. This was a level that Mo Yuru would never be able to reach, because it was already determined at birth. Inside, Han Yufan wasn't feeling good. Thinking back on when he and Tangning were still together, she was never willing to give anything. However, as soon as they broke up, she actually moved into Hyatt Regency. Chapter 25. Spoilt Little Wife. Most importantly, the Tang family had previously announced, if Tangning was to break up with him, she could return home at any time. From the looks of it, Tangning must have made amends with them. Han Yufan suddenly felt a sense of regret. It's Hyatt Regency. Being able to live there is proof of one's status. So many people dreamed of it. If he had chosen Tangning, if he had held on for a little longer and married her, would he have had the chance to live in this paradise-like estate? In reality, Tangning never even contacted the Tang family, because after resolutely leaving the Tang family home, choosing Han Yufan and giving up on her career, all she wanted to do now was depend on her own ability to return to the top of the entertainment industry. Only then would she be able to hold her head high and return home to apologize to her grandfather. After hanging up on Linwei, Tangning picked up the watering can again to continue what she was doing. However, Mo Ting wouldn't loosen her from his embrace. He grabbed her cheeks and pressed his lips against hers with a violent passion. Tangning enjoyed kissing Mo Ting because he was always so caring towards her. Plus, he gave off a unique charm and aura. Tangning turned around and threw away the watering can. Atop the beautiful balcony blooming with roses, she wrapped her arms around Mo Ting tightly as she returned his passionate kiss, allowing her tongue to become intertwined with his. Mo Ting pressed her against the icy cold wall as he trapped her between his arms. His kisses became even more passionate. Tangning's face blushed red as her arms uncontrollably gripped onto Mo Ting's waist, feeling the warmth emanating from his body, and his body tightening as he tried to resist. "If you resist like that, won't it be bad for your body?" Tangning whispered. Her eyes twinkled beautifully like stars. "What should I do? I kiss you every day, yet it never seems enough." Mo Ting reached out his hand and gently stroked Tangning's lips. "It's like a drug, one that makes others completely addicted." Tangning froze for a moment, before she took the opportunity to turn around and press Mo Ting against the wall instead. "To me, you are the same. I am frustrated. The more I tell myself not to think about you, the more I end up thinking about you, especially the look on your face when you kiss me. Can you still resist not having me? I can't hold on for much longer. I really want to have a taste of you." Mo Ting was fairly built, yet here he was, being pressed against the wall as his little wife teased him. He was enjoying this as he smiled charmingly. A good woman would not say such frivolous words, and a good man would not seduce his wife and not finish things off. "My wife says such words. Are you blaming me for only getting halfway through our wedding night?" "When?" Tangning leaned in close and whispered seductively. "Will you go all the way?" Mo Ting looked at his wife, at this usually gentle and quiet woman. It turned out when she wanted to be provocative, she could drive a man crazy. It seemed he had learned something new about Tangning. Mo Ting grabbed onto Tangning's waist and pulled her against his body so she could feel his pain. "I think about it all the time." The two continued to be loving while not stepping over the line until the estate security contacted one of the maids in the villa. There was someone here to see Tangning. Mo Ting straightened out Tangning's messed up clothes and hair before suggesting, "Go upstairs, get changed and take our newest car out for a drive." Tangning understood what he meant as she kissed him on the cheek. "Thank you, hubby, for your sponsorship." In reality, Han Yufan was really reluctant to see Tangning because he didn't want to feel even more regretful. Especially when he pulled up at the gates of Hyatt Regency and was asked to wait outside by the security, he suddenly felt like he wasn't anything special. 10 minutes later, a bright red Ferrari pulled out of Hyatt Regency and stopped right in front of Han Yufan. At first, Han Yufan didn't notice Tangning in the car, because Tangning had never shown off in front of him with the fear of hurting his pride. However, she no longer had to care about that. Now she could show off whatever she wanted to show off. Tangning opened up the roof of the car as she turned her head sideways to speak to Han Yufan. "Why are you looking for me?" "Tangning." Han Yufan looked at the completely different Tangning. His heart was sour. He never thought after leaving him, Tangning would be so much better off. "Speak," Tangning said coldly. "E-Style magazine. The company has already accepted the job for you, so you have no right to reject it. I don't care who you are and what background you have. You are still a model of Tianyi and I am still your boss. For the future of the company, I will organize for the team to release a statement on your behalf, explaining that we broke up a long time ago and Yuru is not a mistress." Han Yufan was using his power as her boss to retrieve the pride he lost after seeing her drive out in a limited edition sports car. "But I've already asked Linwei to reject everyone. Plus, I've already spread the word that I am sick." "Tangning, do you have any regard for the company?" Han Yufan was once again enraged by Tangning making decisions on her own. We are no longer in a relationship. You can't do whatever you want at Tianyi. Don't forget, when you originally signed the contract clearly stated you would accept all decisions made by the company. Do you want to breach the contract? Tang Ning didn't care about breaching the contract, but she didn't want Han Yufan to benefit, so there was no way she would be stupid enough to give him money. After all, her ultimate aim was for Han Yufan and Mo Yuru to be completely destroyed. In regards to the magazine, I have already rejected them. There's no turning back. Tang Ning retreated one step. However, you can ask the team to give me the statement they've prepared. At next Wednesday's event, I will announce it to the public. Compared to a written statement, I'm sure announcing it personally would have a better effect. Han Yufan's expression warmed up as he eventually nodded. I guess that's all we can do. But do you truly want to help the company clear things up? Han Yufan, even though you are heartless towards me, I can't be unrighteous towards you. Tang Ning responded seriously. I know Mo Yuru has been forcing you all along. It better be that way. After speaking, Han Yufan opened his car door and got in his car. He quickly disappeared from Tang Ning's sight because he knew if he was to stay even a minute longer, he would want to beg Tang Ning to take him back. Tang Ning watched as Han Yufan drove off. The corners of her mouth slowly curved up. When ordering her around, how could Han Yufan not realize how unreasonable his requests were? Not only did he betray her, here he was trying to use her to clear up the relationship between him and Mo Yuru. Han Yufan, as a person, don't you feel ashamed? Chapter 26. It was all small attacks before. Reality proved, not only was Han Yufan shameless, he even thought everything was how it was meant to be. The next day, Dianye Entertainment and the event organizers both released statements instructing the public on how to get their hands on tickets to see Tang Ning. As soon as the statements were released, all sorts of insults followed. Tang Ning still wants to appear at the event organized by this unreliable product. Is she really that poor? If she goes ahead with it, she will be on the same level as the brand she is endorsing and seriously become a disgraceful model. I originally thought she would become noteworthy in the modeling industry. I must have been blind. After tomorrow, Tang Ning, take yourself and your cheap product immediately out of the public's sight. Look at all the comments. Everyone is complaining. And the only person able to withstand all this abuse and still attend the event tomorrow with a smile is Tang Ning. I have to give it to her. From now on, in my heart, you are the most disgusting female celebrity. No one can beat you. Tianyi Entertainment. Mo Yuru was sitting in Han Yufan's office chair reading all the abusive comments. She was in a good mood. If Tang Ning wanted to fight with her, she should have considered her capabilities first. No matter how much Tang Ning wanted to make a comeback, from tomorrow onwards, her career would be once again stifled. In fact, it would be even worse than 3 years ago. When that time comes, Mo Yuru would be able to indulge in ridiculing Tang Ning, and the joy she got from ridiculing Tang Ning was not something she could experience from anyone else. Meanwhile, Tang Ning was also at Tianyi Entertainment. For the sake of the event tomorrow, she was in a meeting. To be exact, she was in a meeting for the sake of what she was to say at the event tomorrow. Han Yufan handed Tang Ning the script they prepared earlier, and then specifically ordered, Tang Ning, memorize this script well tonight. Tomorrow at the event, you better not forget to mention it to the reporters. This is the most significant part of you attending the event tomorrow. Tang Ning looked at the script in her hands like she was looking at a joke. Didn't Han Yufan feel any shame when handing this to her? On the way home, Lin Wei drove while Longzia and Tang Ning sat in the back. Longzia pointed to the script with anger. Is Han Yufan trying to provoke me? For the sake of clearing Mo Yuru's name, he would go to any length. He really has no conscience and doesn't even care about wounding your heart. Lin Wei looked at Tang Ning through the rear-view mirror, but her face was calm as usual. Even a person like herself, who had experienced many highs and lows, and had completely seen through the entertainment industry, found Han Yufan to be too heartless. Whereas Tang Ning, who was the object of this heartlessness, wasn't showing any signs of emotion. Tang Ning, what do you want me to do tomorrow? Lin Wei asked. The things you've asked me to prepare are ready. All the evidence has been collated. I've even secured a recording of Mo Yuru talking about preventing you from securing any jobs. Tomorrow, I will take advantage of being in the spotlight to announce I am officially making a comeback, Tang Ning said to the two in a serious tone. I trust Longzia completely, but you? Lin Wei. No need to say anything. I will follow you. I've been in the industry for too long. My mind is not always clear, but you have awoken me to the right direction, Lin Wei responded, excited to take on the challenge. all the evidence, sell it to the biggest media companies as headliners. Tang Ning spoke in a serious tone. It was all just small attacks before. I was too gentle on the two. From now on, they will only experience my fiercest methods of revenge. Yes. Longzia was so happy she nearly jumped out of her seat. Lin Wei also felt her passion being reignited as she heard Tang Ning speak. After all, seeing Tang Ning being betrayed in this way, being humiliated and stepped all over, every woman who witnessed this would feel angered. Fortunately, Tang Ning's method of revenge was to step back over the two. This extremely satisfying method made Lin Wei and Longzia's hearts light up. Lin Wei was now aware that Tang Ning lived in Hyatt Regency, but had no idea she lived there with Mo Ting. Tang Ning could not trust her 100% yet. So, after arriving in front of her villa, she asked Lin Wei to drive Longzia home. Upon entering the house, she realized Mo Ting was already home. This tall, attractive figure was stretched out peacefully across the sofa, with his right arm covering his eyes from the blinding lights. Tang Ning smiled softly as she quietly walked beside Mo Ting and sat herself down. She gently ran her warm fingers across the contours of his face. Why aren't you sleeping in bed? The company you are endorsing tomorrow, Hairui, has already sent out a letter from our lawyers, suing them for fraud. Mo Ting sat up and looked at Tang Ning. Approximately tomorrow afternoon, the news would have spread. It's okay, I will only be appearing in the morning, Tang Ning replied as she lay down on Mo Ting's chest. Even though Tang Ning didn't say much more, Mo Ting seemed to have read her mind. He knew what she was planning to do tomorrow. At the same time, Tang Ning also knew, after initiating her plan tomorrow, the client would not let her off so easily. Hence, Hairui, who barely wasted their time on small companies, decided to send out a letter from their lawyers. Hubby, thank you. For what? Mo Ting asked, as he gently stroked her back. Thank you for understanding me. Thank you for protecting me. Mo Ting didn't say anything as he lay his head down onto Tang Ning's thigh, using it as a pillow. I've been looking at documents all day. My eyes are tired. Then how about I read them to you? Tang Ning picked up the English documents that Mo Ting had not finished reading. With an extremely professional level of English, she started reading to him. However, when she finished, she gave a sigh. Back in the days, the conditions Star King offered me were so good, but I missed out on experiencing those 3 years. Who would have thought in the end I would come across you? God is indeed fair. He has really left the best for last. After cancelling your contract with Tianyi, which company do you want to sign with? It's still too early. Tang Ning shook her head because she wasn't sure how much of her career she would be able to recover. So, right now, she had not yet made a decision. Sign with me. For Hairui, a model like myself is nothing special. Tang Ning admitted that getting into Hairui wasn't very realistic. Mo Ting laughed as he moved away from the topic. His little wife obviously did not understand what he was saying. What he actually meant when he asked her to sign with him was not referring to his company, Hairui. The contract he would write up for her would be the only one in this entire world, because she would be the only one that would have him as her manager. But, this surprise, he would leave till later. Although he was Tang Ning's husband, he still had to wait and see if she was worth it. As he wasn't used to seeing Tang Ning lacking confidence, he sat up, hooked his arm around her neck and pulled her in, demanding for a kiss. I won't allow you to underestimate yourself. I know you're only trying to find an excuse for a kiss. Tang Ning grasped hold of Mo Ting's warm palms and placed them on her chest. I want you to take things further. Chapter 27. Announcing a comeback. The touch was so addictive it made one feel like they were being possessed. Mo Ting pushed Tang Ning down on the sofa and began to unbutton her white shirt. This was something he had been dreaming about doing for a long time. Ting, Tang Ning cried shyly. It hurts a bit. Mo Ting stopped trying to push past her boundaries and instead returned to her lips. The two continued to be intimate in the living room for some time before Mo Ting finally released Tang Ning from his embrace. Tomorrow is an important day for you. Sleep early tonight. In the bathroom, one of the maids helped her bathe while another dried her hair. All Tang Ning had to do was close her eyes. Thanks to Mo Ting, she had been sleeping well lately. The next morning, Lin Wei and Longzia arrived at Hyatt Regency to pick up Tang Ning for her event. However, upon arriving at the venue, to their surprise, Han Yufan was also there. On the surface, he appeared to have attended to support his artist, but in reality, he was only there to make sure Tang Ning would remember to clear Mo Yuru's name. How could I forget? Tang Ning replied. Tang Ning, I know it is hard on you, but what we have between us is already over. You don't have to be envious towards Yuru, she is innocent. It turned out, for Han Yufan, completely ending a relationship only took a few days. And I'm not innocent? Tang Ning responded. My years of youth and all my sacrifices are worth nothing to you? Even a dog would wag its tail thankfully when I play with it. Tang Ning, watch what you're saying, Han Yufan warned Tang Ning in anger. We both did it willingly. I never asked you to be so good to me. It was something you wanted to do. Tang Ning was silent because, at this moment, the makeup artist knocked on the door. She no longer wanted to see Han Yufan, so she immediately got up to let the makeup artist in. Han Yufan was also pretty angry as he turned around to leave the room. As he passed by Lin Wei, he ordered, Keep an eye on Tang Ning. Don't let her do anything wrong. I will, Lin Wei nodded. The event was scheduled for 9 a.m., and Tang Ning's appearance was to be at 9:30 a.m. It was customary for the company to send out a representative to start off the event before the guest would be introduced. At this moment in time, the event had already started, and Tang Ning was prepared to go on stage. Tang Ning was wearing a silver deep V dress, and her hair was brushed to one side with soft curls. Her look wasn't extremely eye-catching, but Tang Ning was born with the perfect body, so she complimented her clothing no matter what she wore. Tang Ning, be prepared. You will be going on stage soon, Lin Wei reminded her anxiously. Tang Ning, don't be afraid. We will be here for you, Longxia cheered. Tang Ning nodded. Why would she be afraid? Today would be the day she'd initiate the first fight with Tianyi. Right now in her heart, apart from hoping for success, she also had to remain calm. Go. Lin Wei escorted Tang Ning out of the waiting room. The venue for the event wasn't very big. The actual hall only fit roughly 200 seats, but Tang Ning knew, apart from the people present here today, there would also be plenty of people watching her through their screens. Why? Because they wanted to see her endorse this cheap brand and find something to gossip about. But too bad, they were about to be disappointed. With a loud introduction from the host and encouragement from Lin Wei, Tang Ning stepped up to the front of the stage. It had been a long time since she had stood in front of the spotlight, so Tang Ning appeared to need some time to adjust. Our Tang Ning sure has a pair of enchanting long legs. Come, let's begin by allowing Tang Ning to give her greetings. The host handed the microphone to Tang Ning before she calmly faced the almost 200 people in front of her. Hello everyone, I am Tang Ning. Welcome Tang Ning. We are very honored to have invited you because we all know your popularity has been on the rise recently. We are also very thankful for you to have come here specifically to support us. May I ask you a question? The host tried his best to liven up the atmosphere. Please speak. I believe you have used our product. Could you please describe your feelings towards it? The host jumped straight to the main point. Used it? Tang Ning slightly frowned. It was at this moment, onlookers watching the live stream online exploded. Everyone wanted to get their opinion out. Cheap model, if you recommend this product, you are finished. I just photoshopped a gif of Tang Ning. Does anyone want to see? I wonder how many people will be fooled. Tang Ning, why must you help them? Tang Ning knew at this moment the internet would be filled with an ocean of complaints. So, after she received the question, she took a glance at Han Yufan, Lin Wei, and Longxia, then located the best position in front of the camera before she opened her mouth to speak. First of all, I need to thank my agency, Tianyi Entertainment, for helping me accept an event for a product I had never even heard about. Secondly, even though I was forced to step out onto this stage, as a model, my morals are intact. In regards to a product that consumers cannot rely on, I will also boycott it. So this product, I have not used it. Lastly, I want to thank everyone for their attention. Even though I've lost my fame, I will not lose my bottom line. 3 simple statements. Tang Ning was so quick that she didn't even give time for anyone to respond. By the time everyone realized the change in her attitude, Tang Ning had already finished talking. Tang Ning, will take advantage of this opportunity to announce that I am officially making a comeback. In a moment, an even bigger scandal will be revealed. Thank you for your support. After speaking, Tang Ning bowed to everyone while they were still stunned before walking off the stage elegantly. The atmosphere became stale and Han Yufan's expression changed. Meanwhile, Lin Wei and Longxia cheered on the inside. The internet was in chaos. OMG, what did Tang Ning just say? I didn't hear it properly. I need to rewind it and listen to it again. How can she be so cool? Me too. Me too. I was already prepared to scold her, but then she actually did something like this. That was a major slap in the face. Apart from Tang Ning, who would be brave enough to slap her agency and client in the face at a live event? Cool. Tangning is so cool. If she's making a comeback, our eyes are in for a treat. Ha ha ha. I saw the host was completely stunned. Tangning is amazing. I'm so touched. I'm so glad I didn't judge her incorrectly. From now on, amongst the models, I will only acknowledge her. The internet was filled with cheers. Not only fans, but even popular social media personalities edited Tangning's brief 2-minute recording into short clips and spread it around like wildfire. In an instant, all traces of Tangning's negative news was swept away. However, Tangning, who had just stepped off the stage, was not in a good position as Han Yufan and her client approached her directly to complain. Tangning, is there something wrong with your brain? A measly model like you actually had the nerve to cause a commotion in front of so many people? The client pointed at Tangning and scolded her. Do you not want to live? Did you want to turn our event into your personal press conference? Chapter 28. Precious Little Wife. Tangning, I'm warning you. If you still want to survive in this industry, you better get out there and apologize, or else I will make you regret ever existing, the angry company representative yelled at Tangning arrogantly. Tangning laughed gently as her expression remained calm, like she had just witnessed a joke. The words have already left my mouth. How am I to apologize? On top of everything, if I was to apologize, who would apologize to the consumers? If you don't apologize and help us eliminate all the negative responses you have created, then we will have to use extreme measures, the representative warned threateningly. After speaking, he glanced over at the event security guard and gave him a look. Understanding the hint, the security guard immediately started walking towards Tangning. Seeing the scene unfolding, Longjie and Lin Wei quickly formed a human barrier in front of her. Longjie pointed at the client as she asked angrily, "What are you trying to do?" Han Yufan, whose face was pale, normally wouldn't deal with companies like this, but because he was in a rush to clear Mo Yuru's name, he did not prepare himself against Tangning. An outdated model actually had the nerve to announce a comeback? Did Tangning really think, after leaving him, she could start all over again? Han Yufan sneered before pulling Tangning over and throwing her to one side. Tangning, I know you hate me, but by doing this you aren't hurting Yuru, you are hurting yourself. A model that has broken the industry rules, no matter how proud you are, will not be hired by anyone. Really? Tangning raised her eyebrows slightly. I don't think so. I don't care why you did this. I also don't care how envious you are of Yuru. Now that the event has been completely messed up, you will need to explain things to the client and you will have to pay the compensation for breaching the contract. Don't even try to throw the blame on Tianyi Entertainment. Han Yufan yelled at Tangning heartlessly. Also, in relation to clearing Yuru's name, since you won't cooperate, I have no choice but to release a statement on your behalf. When that time comes, you will just have to suck up any negative comments. President Han, it seems you have not fully understood my words. My announcement for my comeback was to show that from now on, I will comply with whatever parts of the contract I should comply, but at the same time, I will enjoy what I deserve to enjoy. The look in Tangning's eyes at this moment were cold, without even a trace of warmth, because towards the man in front of her, all she felt was disgust. President Han, no need to be impatient. My lawyers will arrive this afternoon and run through each section of the contract with you. They will clarify every part of the contract that I should have enjoyed over the years, which I have not received. Seeing Tangning like this, Han Yufan was stunned. He never thought Tangning had this side to her. He couldn't believe she could force someone into the corner so aggressively that they couldn't even fight back. No, it must be because she received a shock, Han Yufan comforted himself. A woman that had usually been weak, how could she suddenly become so powerful? She must be trying to gain my attention, Han Yufan told himself. Oh, Tangning, must you really cheapen yourself to this extent? Why can't you just let go? As a result of Tangning's sudden announcement, the scene of the event was in total chaos. The company representative saw that the two had not come to a resolution yet, so rushed to their side impatiently. Looking at Tangning threateningly, he spoke. If you don't give us a satisfactory explanation, then don't expect to walk out this door. Tangning, don't force us. It felt like a showdown was about to take place, but Han Yufan simply stood back and observed the scene playing out in front of him. He had no intention of helping Tangning, because he wanted Tangning to know the consequences of betraying him shouldn't be taken lightly. However, never did it cross his mind that he himself was the one to betray first. Longjie protected Tangning anxiously as she watched the 3 security guards closing in on them. Within the industry, there were plenty of artists without a high status, that had experienced all sorts of abuse. Long Jie, at this moment, hated the fact that she was not a man. Seeing they had nowhere to run, the security guard's eyes smiled slightly. It was impossible for them to escape. However, at this time a loud pang echoed through the room as the waiting room's door flew open. A man holding a briefcase entered with 4 bodyguards. Scanning the room with his eyes, he asked, "Who is in charge here?" "May I ask who?" The company representative stepped forward. "I am the lawyer of Hairui Entertainment. My surname is Chow," the lawyer responded sternly, as he pulled a letter out of his briefcase and handed it to the representative. "The advertisement you shot last month has illegally used a photo of one of our artists. This is a serious violation resulting in damages to Hairui Entertainment. This is a letter of notification. We are confident we can sue you until you are bankrupt." After speaking, the lawyer took big poised steps out of the room while leaving the bodyguards behind. The reasoning was simple. They were to protect Tang Ning. The representative looked like he had just been handed a bomb as his hands began to tremble. He never thought he would attract the attention of the famous entertainment empire Hairui. Small companies exploiting loopholes to increase their company's popularity was not uncommon. But no one had ever had action taken against them by Hairui Entertainment. Was it because they were having a run of bad luck? No one knew the real reason, but Tang Ning was well aware. This was Mo Ting's way of finding a chance to help her take revenge. Out of everyone they could offend, who told them to offend Mo Ting's precious wife? Long Jie snickered on the side, realizing the situation. This small company was so arrogant without knowing Mo Ting had already instructed his men to lie low until the time was right. It was clear how thoughtful he was towards Tang Ning. At this moment in time, the client was no longer in the mood to care about what Tang Ning said at the event. Inside, they knew very well, getting on Hairui's bad side meant they were watching their own imminent death. Han Yufan was also frightened by this sudden turn of events. In order not to be implicated, he immediately left the waiting room. His cowardly face was so shameful it did not deserve a second glance, not even from someone like Lin Wei. "Tang Ning, let's go." Because their motive had been achieved, Lin Wei treated everything like a stroke of good luck. She knew luck was very important in this industry, and Tang Ning obviously had luck on her side. Announcing a comeback meant everything would have to start afresh. But, Tang Ning believed, as long as she didn't give up, she could still get back to where she was 3 years ago, and even surpass it. The internet was cheering while the name Tang Ning was once again revived. Everyone started to see Tang Ning in a new mysterious light. Long Jie was so excited, she started reading some of the comments to Tang Ning with a huge smile across her face. I can already imagine Mo Yuru must be so angry right now. She must have thought the mistake Tang Ning made just now would be enough to end her career. She probably also thought she could have had the opportunity to badmouth you even more in front of Han Yufan, as well as request him to punish you. Tang Ning didn't take note of Long Jie making fun of Mo Yuru. She just turned her head to question Lin Wei. "The contents of the scandal? Have you already organized everything?" "Of course, it is going to be amazing," Lin Wei replied. Chapter 29, Tianyi Entertainment, Leave the Entertainment Industry. What kind of rubbish agency is Tianyi to actually force Tang Ning to appear at such an event? The boss must be fucking stupid. I know, right? If Tianyi can't plan for their artists, then let us do it. Even primary school kids could do a better job than them. Tang Ning, what are you endorsing next? What should I buy? Who will give me money? Tang Ning, leave Tianyi, you deserve better. Tang Ning, we are about to cry from how cool you are. Seeing the internet's one-sided comments, Mo Yuru furiously threw the television remote to one side. She had never expected Tang Ning would use this kind of method to get on the public's good side, revolt against the agency's mistreatment, as well as clarify she didn't want to be involved with an unreliable product. Mo Yuru gave a humph. She was beginning to hate this uncontrollable Tang Ning more and more. Most important of all, Tang Ning actually announced she would be making a comeback? An outdated model actually announced her comeback in such a high-profile way? Mo Yuru laughed uncontrollably. As long as Tang Ning was still at Tianyi, she was not going to let it happen. She could lose what she owned, but other people should not dream of gaining it. At this moment, Han Yufan, who was still recovering from being shocked, opened the door and entered the office. Upon seeing Mo Yuru sitting on the office chair, he threw off his suit jacket, placed his hands on his hips, and walked over to stand by the floor-to-ceiling window. His disappointment in Tang Ning had reached its limit. Yufan, why aren't you working on a public statement to clarify the situation? Tang Ning has already thrown all the blame on us. How dare she say that she's thankful the agency organized for her to attend an event she didn't know about? Tang Ning indeed did not know, and she was indeed treated with disrespect. However, Mo Yuru didn't consider these points. All she cared about was seizing opportunities to step on Tang Ning whenever she could. There was no way she would hold back. Yufan, release a public statement. Tell everyone, for the sake of making money, Tang Ning organized this collaboration and it has nothing to do with the agency. Han Yufan was angrier than ever. Because of Tang Ning, the agency's reputation had been blackened like ash. So he immediately gathered his PR team together to write out an emotional public statement. The statement reiterated that the event was not something forced by the agency. It was all something Tang Ning wanted to do herself. They were obviously hinting that Tang Ning had lied. It also mentioned the company would be applying the maximum penalty on Tang Ning. After all, Tang Ning had defamed the company and messed up the event. They ridiculed her for losing her fame, yet always using the company to cover for her, and that, in reality, most of the time it was all things she did on her own. With this kind of statement, everyone could tell Tianyi Entertainment was going to freeze Tang Ning. It also suggested their relationship with Tang Ning had gone separate ways. Not only this, Han Yufan also arranged for some of his staff to step out and accept interviews. Oh, you guys are talking about Tang Ning? There's not much I can say about her. I can just say nothing is as it appears. She's extremely two-faced. To be honest, I think the company is innocent because everyone in the company knows Tang Ning lied. I have no comments. I support Tianyi Entertainment. For the sake of moving up, what would a model not do? These three responses came respectively from a low-level employee, a high-level employee, and a successful person in the entertainment industry who had strong ties with the company. It seemed they were determined to place the blame on Tang Ning, not allowing her to retaliate. As for Tang Ning, who never liked to respond to scandals, she let the company insult her however they wanted without stepping out to explain it all. Unfortunately, Han Yufan had completely underestimated Tang Ning's announcement about boycotting the cheap product. Even though some people were fooled by him, Tang Ning's popularity had long surpassed what she had previously. She was like a big mountain, using whatever method she could to quickly rise above everyone. Just as Tianyi Entertainment was spreading rumors about Tang Ning released the evidence she had prepared. It was time to embarrass the agency. An authoritative online media source suddenly released a few voice recordings. People who listened to them realized Tianyi Entertainment was a cold-hearted organization. Freezing Tang Ning on purpose was already bad enough. They even organized for her to attend such a cheap event, forcing Tang Ning to be a substitute, accepting all the blame and taking on the humiliation from the netizens. Yet Tianyi Entertainment didn't stop. The thing that made everyone most surprised was the voice that was giving orders not to allow Tang Ning to take on any jobs. The netizens recognized the voice. It was the mistress model, Mo Yuru. The netizens seemed to have understood everything. However, there were a few people that questioned where the recordings came from. It didn't matter. An hour later, Tang Ning's manager, Lin Wei, opened up her email to find it was flooded with messages from different companies asking to work with Tang Ning. But in the end, they were all rejected. Lin Wei sighed, reflecting on what happened today. Mo Yuru was arrogant because she was favored by Han Yufan. She also oppressed other artists and messed up the smooth operation of the company. Compared to Tianyi Entertainment's empty claims, Tang Ning pulled out definitive evidence. This was the scandal she promised to release when announcing her comeback. OMG, I can't believe Han Yufan is such a jerk. Already at the brink of death, and he still wants to make Tang Ning into a scapegoat. How can Tianyi Entertainment be so horrible? It's bad enough that they are harsh to their models. How could they use Tang Ning and then try to dispose of her afterward, throwing their own model under the bus? I've never seen such a shameless entertainment agency. What about the staff that stood out to speak on behalf of Tianyi this morning? They must have received a huge slap to the face. The whole company gathered together to bully one woman. Tianyi Entertainment, leave the entertainment industry. This time, after the evidence was released, Tang Ning didn't have to say anything. Who was wrong and who was right was clear to see. Tianyi Entertainment and Mo Yuru were one step closer to death, whereas Tang Ning's popularity during this incident, once again, multiplied by an unimaginable amount. All kinds of advertisers started to contact Tianyi to cancel their contracts. Even Tianyi's other models were being affected, as all current endorsements were placed on hold. Han Yufan saw the overwhelming amount of comments online. He knew there was no turning back this time. After thinking carefully, he finally picked up the phone to call Tang Ning. Tang Ning, do you really want me to die? Will you only be satisfied after I'm destroyed? Tang Ning sat at home, pleased with the news. My lawyer is already on his way. Han Yufan, it's time to clarify our contract. Tang Ning, you can't do this. If you do this, Tianyi will be completely destroyed. Han Yufan was finally anxious. In comparison to what you and Mo Yuru have done to me, I've only returned 1% to you. Han Yufan, as long as you send Mo Yuru out of Tianyi Entertainment, I might consider showing you mercy, Tang Ning said calmly into the phone. Is this your aim? Han Yufan was going mad. Let me tell you, I will fight with you to the end. Let's see you try. After Tang Ning was done, she hung up the phone. Even though her popularity was once again growing, it didn't mean Mo Yuru didn't still have a chance. The show had just started. On the way home, Mo Ting looked at today's headlines. He was impressed with what he saw. Even Lu Che was praising Tang Ning endlessly. The madam is sure amazing. In a moment, stop the car to buy a bunch of flowers. I want to congratulate her on her comeback, Mo Ting instructed. I want red roses. Understood, President. Lu Che nodded. Amongst such a happy atmosphere, he was going to hide a Durex in the bunch of red roses. Chapter 30. Sharing the stage with Mo Yuru. After Tang Ning released the scandal, Tianyi and Mo Yuru were forced to withstand the worst judgment they had ever experienced from the outside world. This was the biggest crisis faced by Han Yufan since he first established Tianyi. So his disgust and hatred towards Tang Ning was not simply a passing thought. The higher-ups in the company immediately called for an emergency meeting. Han Yufan even called his sister, who was living overseas, for help. Yufan, I've already seen the news. Tang Ning has solid evidence. In regards to this incident, you didn't keep things hidden enough. That's why you allowed others to find evidence against you. But don't be too obsessed with what's happened. You need to learn how to size up the situation. You need to make it clear. You are the boss of the company. No matter how popular Tang Ning is, she is just a model. Her fate is in your hands. Then Jie, older sister. What should I do now? Han Yufan's mind was in a mess because of Tang Ning and Mo Yuru. First of all, release a public statement with a sincere apology. State that you will treat Tang Ning respectfully from now on to appease the angry netizens. Also, support Tang Ning. But there's no way Yuru will agree. Han Yufan's head was hurting. I didn't tell you to give up on Mo Yuru. I currently have a deal with an international magazine. We are still missing 2 Asian models. Arrange for Tang Ning and Mo Yuru to attend the shoot together. This will prove their relationship isn't as bad as it seems. Plus, having them together will get discussions going. Although this magazine isn't one of the highest ranked, but at least it is a step into the international limelight. This will be beneficial towards Mo Yuru's chances at the top 10 model awards. This way, we are using Tang Ning's popularity to boost Yuru. Yufan, remember, a crisis is also a turning point. As long as you take advantage of this, Tianyi's fame will continue to rise. After hearing Han Rokshue's reminder, Han Yufan was immediately enlightened. Older people were indeed wiser. Jie, I understand. After being with you for so many years, for Tang Ning to suddenly do so many things against you, you must have taken things too far. If you want to cheat, I will not judge. There aren't many pure-hearted people in the entertainment industry. I also do not expect you to be honest. But why did you let Tang Ning find out? If you weren't my younger brother, and if Mo Yuru didn't have your child inside her, I would leave you to fend for yourself, Han Roshue warned. This is the perfect chance. Let them share a stage. Let them lower each other's spirits. Mo Yuru is so arrogant and domineering because of the way you spoil her. Jie, she is carrying a child. I'm just worried she will receive too much stimulation. Also, Shinair is ready for the kidney transplant. Previously, Tang Ning was the only one that was a perfect match. After your scolding, would she still be willing to donate her kidney to our Shinair? Han Yufan was startled. He had almost forgotten about this. The Han family had 3 children. The oldest was Han Ruoxi, who was a famous top-tier manager. 3 years ago, she was scouted by an international company and had been living in America ever since. Han Yufan was the second oldest and was introduced into the entertainment industry by his sister. The youngest was Han Xin-er. Because of a bad kidney plus young age, Xin-er was often at the hospital for treatment. Jie, no matter what happens between Tang Ning and I, since she has promised to save Xin-er, I will not give her a chance to change her mind. Han Ruxue gave 2 grunts of approval before hanging up the phone. She was both angry and felt helpless towards this brother. Afterwards, Han Yufan instructed his team to release a statement admitting to treating Tang Ning harshly. The statement also stated they would genuinely try to make amends and will treat Tang Ning well from now on. They ended with a plea for Tangning and her fans to give Tianyi one more chance. At the same time, Tianyi announced they had been invited by the international magazine, Secret, to allow Tangning and Mo Yuru to attend their shoot. As soon as this was announced, the public was once again outraged, just like Han Ruoshui predicted. The two models were obviously enemies who previously fought over the same man. They were rivals. But Han Yufan actually placed the two of them together? Dear God. Even though Tangning's popularity was once again on the rise, it didn't hide the fact that she had previously been a substitute for Mo Yuru. On the other hand, although things had run smoothly for Mo Yuru in the past, in the end, she was just a B-grade model. No matter what she did, she couldn't get to the top. Fans from both sides started arguing. Was Tangning more professional, or was Mo Yuru more pleasing to the eye? This was how the entertainment industry was like. The spotlight often changed. Of course, all Tangning wanted to do was avoid Tianyi's sneaky slandering by placing herself out in the open, at the same time preventing Mo Yuru from interfering. Now that Han Yufan had placed her on the same level as Mo Yuru, she reached her aim. Tangning, will you accept this job? Lin Wei questioned over the phone. The fact that Han Yufan acted like he cared about Tangning and organized an international magazine job for her, if she was to reject, it would make her seem petty. Even though Han Yufan never asked for your opinion, if you don't want to do it, we can think of something. I'll accept it, Tangning replied straightforwardly. Okay, I understand. It's good that you are sharing the stage with Mo Yuru. The public will have the opportunity to see Mo Yuru perform. They will discover she at most can only be your backdrop. Lin Wei responded, tomorrow morning the company will have a discussion. I will first go pick up Longjie and then I'll come get you. Okay, Tangning nodded. Lin Wei seemed to be getting used to things. Tangning hung up the phone and continued to be a cook in the kitchen. Even though Mo Ting didn't allow her, she never considered herself to be delicate. Cooking for her husband was her right. After returning home, Mo Ting found Tangning busy in the kitchen. Approaching her from behind, he lifted her off her feet and placed her atop the kitchen bench, trapping her between his arms. You know what the consequences are for not listening to me? Tangning hooked her arms around Mo Ting's neck as she swung her legs. Don't tell me. You will eat me. You don't know how to be afraid. Mo Ting evaluated. He stretched out his arms, carried her towards the living room, and placed her on the sofa. Today is the day of your comeback, so leave dinner to me. Tangning nodded her head as she removed the apron from her body and placed it on Mo Ting. Mo Ting was tall and his body was built. When he wore business shirts and the soft material hung to his chest, his slightly hidden abdominal muscles made it difficult for Tangning to take her eyes off him. Afterwards, all that could be seen was a man chopping, calm and capable. He treated his ingredients like he treated life, quick, efficient and clean, not leaving a mess. This poised man was like a piece of art. Tangning tried to hide her fluttering heart as she headed to the bedroom. She discovered, atop their bed, a bunch of red roses. Tangning excitedly placed the flowers in her hand as she leaned in to smell the lovely fragrance. However, she noticed a small package amongst the flowers. She curiously took it out to have a closer look. Her face suddenly turned bright red. Did Mo Ting want to have her tonight? Then was she meant to know about the existence of this Durex? Or was she to pretend she didn't see a thing?